Hey folks, Papa Boris here, playing some more leaders. We're up against Bluten. Gluten free. Okay, so let's see how this goes. My opponent is first. We have the Brewmaster. I don't think we've seen the Brewmaster before. This is a deceptively strong character in my opinion, because the Brewmaster, instead of moving, can make an adjacent ally move, and that is really good if you have things like the Manipulator, for example, where you're trying to be visible to an enemy. Normally, you can only use, okay, not normally, a very core rule of the game, a very significant rule of this game, is that you can either move or use an active ability. So if you're like not in line of sight to an enemy with, say, the Manipulator, you can move to be in line of sight with them, but then you cannot use your special ability. But the Brewmaster lets you get around that. It basically lets you use your special ability of the character and also move, thanks to the Brewmaster. Anyways, we got the Illusionist. Okay, my opponent breaks a pretty strong start. I'll also step my leader forward here. And, it's a bit of a gamble to take the Brewmaster since I don't actually have any particularly great synergy with the Brewmaster at the moment. But I'll take him anyway. And I think I'll recruit him near... Yeah, I'll just recruit him near the edge and just have him kind of go in towards the enemy king. Boy, we have the Acrobat. I do like the Acrobat. Unfortunately, I didn't quite put the Brewmaster in the optimal place for that. No, you know what? It's fine. It would have not been that great either way. Although I could, if I put the Brewmaster here, for example, I could have done a thing where like I move the leader up. Actually, no. This is fine. So I don't know if I really want the Acrobat. What I like with the Acrobat is to like jump into the action really, really quickly. But I don't really have the opportunity to do that here. I mean, I could put the Acrobat there, put the Brewmaster, move the Brewmaster like this, and jump the Acrobat in there. That's a possibility. I'm trying to see if I can do like a double jump. If I put the Brewmaster here, then I can like have the Acrobat from here jump boing boing, although that's not that amazing. I'll just take the Archer. We'll put it on the opposite side, and we'll just kind of move characters into the opponent's leader. That was not the greatest draft. I like, the stuff like the Illusionist or the Manipulator or the Claw guy to like have a long range effect on the board. Now the Archer has a really good combination with a character called the Bruiser. That's the cow character who can like push an enemy out of the way. If you can get the Bruiser in front of the Archer, you can just barrel towards the enemy king and pretty much win. But I don't see that yet, and there's no guarantee that it will show up. So also my opponent might end up being the one to recruit it, so it's a little bit dicey here. I'm not 100% convinced I'm in a very good position here. So my opponent chooses the Acrobat, so we got to watch out for jumps. Okay, so I could take the Vizier. I do love the Vizier quite a bit. It's a very fun character, letting your leader move twice. You can sometimes like sneak in and kill the enemy leader with it, though again, you cannot put your own leader next to two adjacent pieces, so it can be difficult to accomplish this. But there is some synergy here. If I use the Royal Guard, I could like teleport the Royal Guard to my leader, move up, touch the opponent's leader, and then, maybe use the Archer as backup to finish the job. I'll try that. So the question is, what is my opponent going to do with this Acrobat? So they can move the leader there, and the illusion is there, and then they can go jump. So this is a little bit risky to be on this side of the board. So maybe I'll move my leader a little bit this way. And then we'll just take all the other characters and move them closer to the enemy. And let's also, let's grab the Royal Guard. So this is nice because I can, just teleport the Royal Guard right there and get him into the action really quickly. My problem is that I don't really have anyone who can, like, manipulate the enemy board. So if my opponent just crowds the front of his king with pieces, then it can be difficult for me to break through. And that is one of the criticisms of this game, is that you can get into these draw-like situations where it's basically impossible for either side to make progress. Now we'll see if that happens here with Bluten. Right now I have to be careful with this Acrobat. I could, for example, move my Royal Guard here. Alright, so my opponent took the Vizier, which makes it possible for him to move his leader twice, so his leader becomes a very jumpy individual. So I can put my Royal Guard here, and then go there, and kind of be disruptive. Now then the Acrobat will be able to jump. The illusionist can only manipulate non-adjacent enemies. So by putting the guard right here, I actually am countering the illusionist in a way. You know, I think I'm going to just do it. I like to play aggressively. I can't move my king forward. I'm going to call him a king because I played chess as a kid, because then the acrobat and the illusionist could just capture him. But I can just leave the king where he is. We'll just move the royal guard there. Plop. Go up here. Get aggressive. So now my opponent, you know, has to kind of like babysit his king. I always have to worry about the possibility of the acrobat jumping over the royal guard. So I do need to be careful about that. But that's fine. Let's just move the archer closer to the enemy. Well, let's see here. I'll just go here. Otherwise, the illusionist could be used to move the archer backwards. I don't really want that. We'll take the Brewmaster and move him. Well, I gotta be careful because the acrobat can do a jump in here and then do another jump like over here and then be touching my king. So am I okay with the acrobat being right next to my leader, basically? That's a little bit scary. You know what? You win some, you lose some. Let's try it. I'm gonna gamble here with my opponent, using the acrobat to get right next to my leader, that it's not going to come back to bite me in the ass. So I will just back off a little bit. So my opponent can still get the acrobat very close, but then my opponent might not be able to get other pieces up super easily. Okay, now I gotta pick a character to recruit, and it's a tough one here. So I could just take the Hermit and Cub and just have a lot of pieces, or I could take the Claw Launcher and try to, you know, make some magic happen. You have to remember that the enemy leader can move 2 spaces thanks to the Vizier, so it can be a little bit tricky for me to, you know, force my way over to the leader. Yeah, I think we'll take the Hermit and the Cub. I think it would be good to have some protection. I'll put the Hermit. I mean, where do I think my opponent's leader is going to go? My guard is right here. If he does do the jumping with the assassin, then this side's kind of vulnerable, so maybe he'll move this way. So I'll put the Hermit over here, where he's on the same side as the leader, and I'll put the Cub over here to give my own leader a little bit of protection. Now, it does mean that my opponent gets the Claw Launcher, potentially, which could be very strong. So yes, this game, unlike my other game, I am not really in particularly great shape. My opponent has a nice defensive setup here and a little bit of offense in the form of this acrobat. So I'm a little bit nervous about how I'm actually going to finish this job. Okay, so my opponent moves everything in. That's great for him. The illusionist is getting a little aggressive, actually. This is a strange move because I think he would have needed... Oh, my opponent just lost the... yeah, my opponent just lost the game. You know, that's one of the things I love about this game. I have a feeling that like leaders might get less fun as you get better at it and as your opponent gets better at it, because I love just like the wet and wild aspect of leaders where, you know, both people are just kind of messing around and trying to figure out how stuff works. I think that if you get into these like grueling 30-minute duels where people are just like in turtle mode and you can't break through that, that might get a little bit dry. But yeah, so what my opponent forgot is that I can use the Brewmaster to move my guard 1 space. Then I can use my guard's actual turn to move here next to the leader, and then I can use my archer to go here, and the archer helps capture the leader from 2 spaces away. So there we go, archer plus guard, and that's the game. All right, that was pretty cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. I think my opponent had a very strong position and was in quite the running to win the game there, but they just forgot about checkmate, so that's that. That's the thing is, like, in chess, you don't often have the ability to just like randomly checkmate your opponent. Like, oh no, they missed a checkmate, you know, in an otherwise very strong position. Usually if you're in position to checkmate them, then it's because you're already crushing them. Of course, there are exceptions to that, but that's usually how it works. However, in this game, there's like the chess-like element of the tactics, but then there's also just the fact that, you know, someone in a really strong position might just randomly lose because they forgot about a key ability. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.